pleasure to be here, real honor to be part of this initiative, very important educational initiative. And what I would like to share with you is maybe a practical example of inclusion, because our association is all about that. So that's activating yourself and being part of a movement, a community, and learning. So I'm going to split my presentation into two parts: a bit about what our association does, and then a practical application looking at some of our members. So thinking about the future of finance, what are they doing? What are fintech startups doing? So the Swiss Finance and Technology Association, we're an independent association representing all stakeholders neutrally as a center of gravity to foster the development of the Swiss fintech ecosystem. But what does that mean in practical terms? Well, what's really important is the concept of community. This has been really crucial over the last year with the conditions that we've all been living in, to bring people together, to just highlight the point or the parts of our community here. So individuals, fintech startups, corporate members, experts, students, mentors, but trying to bring them all together. And like I said, it's been even more important over the last year. And an example of that, a quick example, is the startup company that recently joined. They just started their business, and one of the first things they said to us was, we would really like an intern to join us to develop our business. And we had a student member who'd been looking for an internship, and it was just a matter of putting the two together, and now they're doing great things. So that's just one example of what we're doing at the association. The outer circle there is highlighting our sort of external parts to the association. So we have local chapters. That means when we're doing in-person events and activities, we do them in Zurich, in Basel, and the western part of Switzerland. That's the French-speaking part of Switzerland. We have national partners, other associations, other organizations where we can work together to do research papers or reports or share knowledge and so on. And that's the same with international organizations, other fintech associations. And the next layer there is the types of things we're doing for our members and in general. So events is a big part of what we do. That's especially since over the last year. I'll talk a bit more about that shortly. Marketing is very important, sharing the expertise within the network, supporting in various ways, and also educating. These are just some of the topics. There's so many topics in fintech and innovation that we can all learn about, and within the association, we're sharing this knowledge, finding experts to talk about it and learning about it. So quantum computing, we had an event on that 2 weeks ago. I didn't know a lot about that myself, and now I know a lot more, I can say. So just a little bit about our networking and events. This is a really important part of what we do. We were lucky enough to have some in-person physical events last year. This was our Basel kickoff event. It was delayed due to the COVID crisis, but we did manage to have it. So that's just a real example of government representation, fintechs, people working in banking, technology, coming together to meet. Firstly, that's the important part, and then discuss where all the overlaps are and the beneficial or the mutual working together and so on. Obviously, since then, we've been much more focused on online events, but something unique that we have offered is the possibility to still network and meet people. There's a small picture in the bottom right there. You can see where our platform allows you to sit at a virtual table to meet people, and here we allowed our fintech startups to pitch themselves, and the audience could meet the people afterwards. Women in innovation, this was a very popular topic. We had an event on this in January, of course, keeping in mind the topic of inclusion here. So we had prominent women talking about the career, advising others how they've made their steps and made progress. And it's important to mention, it's a team effort from our side as well. So Rebecca is there, head of partnerships, top left. She was moderating the panel. Marketing and promotion, as I mentioned, is an important part of what we do. So if you're a startup company, you could be very early stage. One of our members recently joined and they didn't pay their fee right away because they hadn't opened a bank account. So they're right at the beginning of their journey, and they will not have a social media following, which we have 40,000 followers if you add up all our channels and our team members. And what does that mean? It's just a number, but it means opportunities, discussions, making connections, potential possibilities, so that's what we can help to develop on an individual level and fintech startup level. We have some new initiatives we're very excited about. Education and training we're talking about today, of course, it's so important. I'm also going to quote the World Economic Forum here, just talking about the top 10 job skills of tomorrow. 2 of them are specifically related to technology. We want to enable our members to have access to courses. Maybe some courses are paid still, a lot are free these days. Some are still paid, and therefore we can assist with trying to get discounts to enable our members through that channel. And we're reaching out to students. We're partnering with some top universities. We'd like to activate our student membership, increase that, bring fresh ideas to the association, enable them to get internships, like I said, and more. So that's a very important part of what we're doing as well. So that's a bit about what we're doing on a practical level. Like I said, we're a dedicated team of volunteers, very passionate about what we're doing. I hope you can feel that coming through. The next topic is to think about the future of finance, but from what we see in the association. And here I just include a member snapshot from some of our fintech startups. Some really beautiful logos there, I think you will agree. And behind those logos are some really interesting companies that we have the pleasure of working with, being in close contact with. And I just want to highlight some of those in the rest of the presentation. And here I've grouped them so that I can explain a bit in general what they're doing. So lending has been extremely important during the coronavirus period. Small businesses needing access to small business loans where they can apply and get the funds very quickly. This is one thing that one of our startup members, at least one, is doing to enable this and increase the efficiency in lending. InsurTech, increasing transparency in something that might not necessarily be very easy to understand. The information, for example, on life insurance. So making that easier to access and to understand. Payments infrastructure is something maybe you might not be aware of. So you can have neobanks like Revolut or other similar entities, but maybe they're not doing the payment infrastructure behind that, and you can't see that, but there are startups and fintech companies helping with that, doing that in the background. Cash solutions, this is an interesting one because of course we're increasingly going digital with our payments. Everything is on our mobile phones and so on, but cash is still needed. And one of our startup members, they have a mobile application where you can go to a supermarket, for example, and withdraw cash when you pay for your goods rather than going to the bank ATM. So that means banks don't need as many ATMs and we don't need to go there to get the cash out. So that's one interesting application. Women and diversity in finance, I've already mentioned that. It's a very important topic for us. One of our members has an app specifically focused on women, banking for women, and issues that are focused on women, which is underserved in the current market. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets. Of course, we know this term cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, but what can we do with these cryptocurrencies and assets? Well, we have members who are enabling payments, enabling lending, the normal things that you would expect to be able to do with something that is a currency, and digital assets as well, enabling tradability and transferability. Blockchain, another widely used term. One practical application is to strengthen and ensure transparency in the precious metal market. So where is gold coming from? Where, if it's in a product, where has it come from? This is something that can be helped with blockchain. And finally, sustainability and ESG is another really important topic that the conference is focused on today, and I'll go into that in a little bit more depth now. I also did my own survey before the event and asked, what does the future of finance represent for you, to our followers, and which topic do you see as key over the next 5 years? I thought this was really interesting because there's two here that are equal in the amount of votes. Cryptocurrencies is probably not so surprising, but that it's equal with sustainability and ESG, I thought this was really interesting, and I wanted to focus a bit more on those two topics with some examples. So one of our members, for example, DPay, there's a little video here of what they're doing, and what I thought what's really interesting is they enable donations in cryptocurrencies, for example. So maybe we're not quite there yet where people want to donate their cryptocurrencies, but that's what you would normally expect from money, from currencies, and they're enabling that to happen by including it in your website. For example, if you're a charity or a business. Another example here, Discentage, picture of a beautiful forest there. Why? Well, they're in the business of enabling tokenization of assets. And one really interesting example is something called tree coin. So hardwood is a type of asset that you can invest in through tokenization. So you can buy a tree coin, and this tree coin gives you access to hardwood as an asset which grows. So eucalyptus trees grow very quickly, they're sold, profits are made from this, it's sustainable, and you can invest in that through tokenization, and that's what they're enabling here. So I thought that was very interesting from the sustainability point of view, and just the general fintech application point of view. So the other part of the survey was about sustainability, and green fintech is another term that's going to become very big. It's going to be a huge topic. We're aware that the global climate is increasing. It's unsustainable. That's what we see here in this graph. But what's happening in the financial markets? There's a lot of activation there. So this graph shows assets under management of UNPRI signatories, Principles for Responsible Investment. That means, if we look at the graph here, 110 trillion US dollars of assets under management by pension funds, wealth managers, insurance companies are being managed taking into account ESG and sustainability factors. So there's a huge demand for investments in this area, and there's a response in the financial and industry, basically, and it's going to be the same with green fintech. So in Switzerland, we have a green fintech network, a green fintech action plan, which has come about recently, and we have one member here called Green Match. It's one example of a type of green fintech. So again, just a little clip of what they're doing. So they enable investments in renewable energy projects, financial management of those projects, buying and selling of those projects. So it's quite specialized. It's in asset management, but it is a green fintech. It's a type of sustainable fintech application. Yeah, that's the video just there, just showing you a little bit about what they're doing. So that's everything from me. I'd like to say thank you very much for having me here today to be able to show what we're doing. I hope it was insightful, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion later. Finally, if you're interested to know more, I guess the final message would be, if you want to, a way of being financially included is to join an association. If you don't have an association, somebody needs to start one in the countries where people are looking to and watching today, because it can be potentially life-changing in that way. So that would be the final message. Thank you.